I am Viktor Frankl. I was born in Vienna on March 26, 1905, and my life has been a journey through the darkest depths of human experience and the highest peaks of human understanding. As a neurologist, psychiatrist, and Holocaust survivor, I have sought to understand the human condition, to find meaning in suffering, and to share the lessons learned with the world. Today, I want to share with you some of the thoughts and quotes that encapsulate my philosophy of life. Thoughts that may help you find meaning and purpose in your own journey. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This quote comes from my experience in the concentration camps, where so much was out of our control. We could not change the brutal circumstances we faced, but we could change how we responded to them. Life often puts us in situations that we cannot control, but within every person lies the power to choose their attitude, to change themselves in response to what they cannot change. This is where true strength lies, in our ability to adapt, to find meaning even when faced with the unchangeable. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing: the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. In the camps, we were stripped of everything: our possessions, our dignity, our very identities. Yet, there was one thing that could not be taken from us: our freedom to choose our response. This is the essence of what I call the last of the human freedoms. No matter the situation, no matter how dire the circumstances, we always retain the power to choose our attitude, to choose our own way forward. This freedom is the foundation of human dignity. Those who have a right to live can bear with almost anyhow. This quote is central to my philosophy of logotherapy, which is based on the idea that finding meaning in life is the most powerful force driving human beings. During my time in the concentration camps, I observed that those who had a purpose, a reason to live, were more likely to survive. They could endure unimaginable suffering because they had a why, a reason to keep going. Whether it was the hope of being reunited with loved ones, the desire to complete a task, or the commitment to a cause, this sense of purpose gave them the strength to endure. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This quote highlights a critical aspect of human nature: the ability to choose. Between what happens to us, the stimulus, and how we react, the response, there is a moment, a space where we have the power to decide how we will act. This space is where our freedom lies, and it is in this freedom that we find the potential for growth. By choosing our response, we shape our character and our destiny. This is where we find true liberation, not in changing the world, but in changing ourselves. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. This quote reflects the heart of my philosophy. Life does not inherently have meaning. It is up to each of us to give it meaning. This process of finding and creating meaning is what makes life worth living. Whether it is through our work, our relationships, or our contributions to society, we must strive to find purpose and significance in our existence. This is not a passive pursuit, but an active engagement with the world, a constant effort to make our lives meaningful. In some ways, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning, such as the meaning of a sacrifice. Suffering is an inevitable part of life, but it can be transcended when we find meaning in it. When we understand our suffering as part of a larger purpose, as a sacrifice for something greater, it ceases to be mere suffering. It becomes a pathway to growth, to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. This is not to glorify suffering, but to acknowledge its potential to transform us when we approach it with the right mindset. What is to give light must endure burning. This metaphor illustrates a profound truth, that to bring goodness, beauty, or wisdom into the world often requires sacrifice and endurance. The light that guides others, that illuminates the path forward, comes at a cost. This is the essence of leadership. Of being a beacon for others, one must endure the challenges and hardships that come with the responsibility. But it is through this endurance that we can truly shine, that we can make a lasting impact on the world. Each man is questioned by life, and he can only answer to life by answering for his own life. To life he can only respond by being responsible. Life is constantly asking us questions. What is your purpose? How will you face this challenge? What will you contribute? Our answers to these questions define who we are. Responsibility, in this sense, is the ability to respond to these questions with integrity, with purpose, and with a commitment to making our lives meaningful. It is through this responsibility that we fulfill our potential and contribute to the world around us. For the world is in a bad state, but everything will become still worse unless each of us does his best. This quote is a call to action. We live in a world filled with challenges and difficulties, but it is up to each of us to do our part, to contribute in whatever way it can to make the world a better place. If we succumb to despair, if we give up on the effort to improve our circumstances, things will only get worse. But if we all strive to do our best, to bring light into the darkness, we can create positive change. This is the essence of responsibility, not just for ourselves, but for the world as a whole. Happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. One must have a reason to be happy. Happiness is not something that can be chased or achieved through direct pursuit. It is a byproduct of living a meaningful life, of having a purpose that brings fulfillment. When we focus on finding meaning, on living in accordance with our values and goals, happiness naturally follows. It is not the goal, but the result of a life well lived. Live as if you were living a second time, and as though you had acted wrongly the first time. This quote invites us to live with intention, to make choices as though we were given a second chance to correct past mistakes. It encourages us to be mindful of our actions, to consider their consequences, and to strive to live in a way that we would not regret. This mindset can lead to a more thoughtful, purposeful life, where we take full responsibility for our decisions and their impact on others. It is not freedom from conditions, but it is freedom to take a stand toward the conditions. True freedom is not about escaping the challenges and conditions of life. It is about choosing how we will respond to them. We may not be able to control our circumstances, but we can always control our attitude and our actions. This is where true freedom lies, in our ability to take a stand, to decide how we will meet the challenges life presents us. It is this freedom that defines our humanity.